remove 9G, since the representative is here.
Okay,
9G.
okay.
So,
9G, move it up.
that's, we're gonna move 9G on.
Okay.
Okay.
The light's not working. Thank you.
At 6:31, we'll go ahead and get this regular council meeting for April 22nd of 2025. Marty, can we do roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mayor Alvaro Arreola,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem James DeRusse,
Here.
Councilman J.P. Sanchez,
Here.
Councilwoman Ernestina Martinez,
Present.
Councilman Jesus Lopez Jr.,
Present.
Councilman Randy Quinones,
Here.
Councilwoman Carmen Gutierrez. Mayor, you do have a quorum.
At this time, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and pledge allegiance to the Texas flag and remain standing for the invocation done by Deacon Mario Garcia from St. Joseph's Catholic Church.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Let us pray. Lord God, Father in heaven, we thank you for this day, Lord, that you've given us. You've given us another wonderful gift, and that's the gift of life, Lord. We often forget those things that you provide for us because we get so busy in our day and we sometimes don't think about everything that's so wonderful from you, Lord. Lord, we ask you that you continue to bless us with those gifts, that they give us reason to be fruitful in your service, Lord. And this day, Lord, as we gather here this evening, we ask for that blessing upon all of us so that those gifts that are given to us, we can find a way through the decisions made tonight, the thoughts that are put out, the things that we are doing are for our brothers and sisters so that they can have some of that fruitfulness that we are able to provide for them. Lord, grant us wisdom, grant us compassion, and grant us an open heart, Lord, an open mind to understand and to do these things that we do in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Before we sit down, I would love to ask for a moment of silence for two individuals that passed away this couple of weeks. One was with our judge, Tony Foss, and the other one of our co-workers up here on the top. Her husband passed away, Carmen Gutierrez, Councilwoman Carmen Gutierrez's husband, Ruben Gutierrez. So can we take a moment of silence on behalf of them? Amen. Excited.
Mayor, can I add something to a little bit about Mr. Foss?
You could do it on mayor's comment.
Okay.
Addition. This time, Marty.
Okay, we are on item number 5, citizens' comments. Any citizen wishing to speak during citizens' comments regarding an item on or off the agenda may do so after registering on the required sign-in sheet prior to the start of the meeting. All comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Topics of operational concerns shall be directed to the city manager, and comments should not personally attack other speakers.
At this time, we have Steve Webb. This is journal issues. Mr. Webb?
Mayor, council, I'm here to address a couple things. Number one, the drainage in San Felipe over on East Bowie. That's been ongoing now for 6 years, and we haven't even turned a shovel of dirt. And hurricane season is fixing to come on us January 1st, or June 1st, I'm sorry. And obviously it brings rain, and that means more flooding over on East Bowie. 6 years is too long to wait to protect those people in their homes. Another issue, the well, the second well. Have we started digging a second well? Have we done anything with it? We've been waiting for the people that said they could dig one and give us the results of the findings, but we haven't heard anything. The citizens don't even know how they can water their yards or anything else. Here we are putting a retention pond around a dog park. It hasn't flooded in 53 years I've been here. Why all of a sudden are we worried about protecting a dog park? I mean, the citizens are looking for progress, but something that benefits the entire community. And there has been no progress. We don't, the individual that was the EDC director or whatever, he was a man of the future, just like I am. We looked at the future to see what we can do. We haven't had any growth or major spurts of anything in Del Rio in several years. What are we doing about it? It's time to get back on the road and get some things done. And they need to benefit the entire community, not just a few. So, I have several other things, but I'm going to save them. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Next item.
The next item is informational items. 6A, Mayor, Council, Public Announcements.
I really don't have anything. Mr. Lopez, Councilman Lopez?
In respect to Precinct Judge Tony Foss, just for the record, he was also a city employee for many years as well. So he was very well respected as far as for the city and with the county as far as his service to the community. So I just want to put out that he was also a city employee in the past. Thank you.
Any other comments? No? Councilwoman Martinez?
Yes, I'd like to mention that I was in Lubbock last week with the Hispanic Chamber president, and they were doing the ribbon cutting for Highway 27 and, of course, Ports to Plains. We did meet with some of the people from there. At the reception, I spoke to the mayor from Lubbock, and also Lauren, the one that's in charge of the Ports to Plains. And of course, we were there to promote Del Rio and mention Del Rio, trying to get a good word in and trying to see they'll do something about our transportation. I've always pushed the 4-lane highway to San Antonio, but all the time they just keep pushing it back. And that's one of the most important things that we need, transportation into Del Rio, in order for Del Rio to keep growing and bringing in businesses. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Any other? No? All right, next item, Marty.
Okay, the next item is B, City Manager's Informational Update and Second Quarterly Report.
Yes, I will take the opportunity to acknowledge John Atnip and his staff for getting their certifications. If I may, I'm going to list them. Raul Yanez, Code Enforcement Officer. Edgar Torres, Code Enforcement Officer in Training. Juan Alvarado, Code Enforcement Officer in Training. And Kristen Williams in Vector Control. So the next time you see those individuals, please congratulate them as they have received certification. And I will step to the podium for the second quarterly report.
Would I be out of line to ask the three people that you mentioned so they can come up here and take a picture?
Oh,
So they can see you guys when. John?
Please. Congratulations. Oh, sorry.
All right, 1, 2, and 3. One more, 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Good
Go ahead,
evening.
Ms. Brooker.
I'm here to present this second quarterly report for fiscal year 24-25, and this is your city at work. So if you have any questions, please feel free to stop me. When we go over anything water and sewer, it may have small print. We do have larger print copies right here on the corner if you would like one, but we will be going over those when we do the water and sewer presentations. So I will begin. Next slide. So we have city water priorities, and the second priority is our water well development. This will be a fiscal year 2025 debt issuance of approximately $14.3 million. If you'll notice, these numbers, if they vary or have varied from the last presentation, I will tell you. The financing work has begun. We have a list of all the financing resources for this water well development. So I know that it seems like nothing's happening, but we are assessing every single funding source. We're applying for every single funding source, and we're trying to figure out which ones have the best interest rates, because we can levy our debt, if you will, on the backs of the state through TWDB or through WIFIA, which is through the EPA, and that's federal. But we can get good interest rates that way. Not that we can't get our own good interest rates, but they're better, obviously, for the state. And so we're going through that process, and you'll see that on every single project that we're working on. So this project is $14.3 million, and we have several sources we can tap into: the Department of Interior Water Smart Drought Resiliency Projects, TWDB Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, TWDB State Water Implementation Fund, also known as SWIFT, and the Texas Military Value Revolving Loan Fund Program. All of these are low-interest loans. You'll notice when we've submitted those or if they're pending in the far column. Next slide. Again, our financing work has begun. The city's financial advisors have attended all meetings in Austin with TWDB, TCEQ, and city representatives. We have all met. We've gone over these numbers and tried to evaluate which are the best programs for the city at this time. Initial estimates of probable cost have been received from our city engineers. Next slide. Our next priority is the East Springs wall repair and rehabilitation. If you'll notice, this has gone down in value from 2.5 to 3 million down to approximately 1.9 million. So we are working to fine-tune our numbers. But if you'll notice on the far left side of the screen, you will see 1,761,981. Why is that $200,000 less? Well, if you'll remember, approximately 3 months ago, you did a budget, not a budget amendment, but you allowed us to reallocate CIP money, and we had $200,000 that could be used for the engineering for the East Springs project. So that drops the number that we need to finance to 1.7 million. Again, we are using TWDB Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. We're using the Texas Military Value Revolving Loan Fund Program, the EPA Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act, which is WIFIA, and the Defense Economic Adjustment Assistance Grant, which is also known as DEAG. You'll also notice that these are low-interest loans and the submittal dates. Next slide. Again, we have worked on this issue also with TWDB directly, TCEQ, and city representatives. Our initial estimates of probable cost have been received, so we know exactly how much we're dealing with. The only thing that's different on this slide from the last time is that a tree fell on the East Springs wall on March 16th, 2025, due to high winds and further damaged the structure. Next slide. You will notice as we go through this presentation in just a few minutes, the emergency Agarita well has slid down the list to, I think, number 5 or 4 on our priority list. Not that it's not important, but we will show you why one of the other projects now ranks higher. So we have here the Agarita well. The debt issuance is to be determined, obviously, in the near future. It's approximately $2 million. The only one that we can use right now for this project is the WIFIA funds, and the WIFIA funds only cover 49% of the total project cost. So we would have to find other funds to finance this program. Initial estimates of probable cost have been received from our engineers. Next slide. Our city water priorities are continued with the water treatment plant expansion. This is now our number 3 priority. It is estimated to be $8.3 million. The filtration system is not made anymore and needs replacing in the next 4 years. The initial estimates have been received from our engineers. And if you'll notice at the bottom, we're looking at Texas Water Development Board State Water Implementation Fund, also known as SWIFT, the Texas Military Value Revolving Loan Fund, the TWDB Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, and the EPA Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act, also known as WIFIA. So you can see that we are aggressively pursuing all of these. So what has happened in the last 3 months? It has been nothing but applying and meeting with agencies, and applying some more and meeting with agencies. Next slide. I'm sorry, we have a typo there. It should be 8.3, I believe. But we will need to replace this, obviously, and the initial estimates of probable cost have been received from our engineers. Next slide. Then we have those items that are not at the moment priorities, but will be very important in the very near future. The Bedell infrastructure improvements, which are estimated to be $21.3 million. And right now, that would have to come through WIFIA or through the Texas Water Drinking Water State Revolving Loan Fund. We don't know as of yet which funding source would fund that. And we don't know that we can necessarily afford that at this moment in time, looking at all the debt that we have with water and sewer. Next slide. So we have several other projects I just want to tap onto and list for you so that you know we're looking at them. We have Water Project 6, which is the water loss audit and the mainline repair of $5,672,000. We have the Phase 3 project. We're still assessing that. The San Felipe Regional Stormwater Facilities project is $422,587. And finally, the water main improvements, Phase 2 and 3, which is $45,279,832. As you can tell, we can't afford all of this at one time. Finally, just in terms of priorities and what we're working on, we are working on a new water rates study, which includes the Laughlin Air Force Base proposed water rates, as well as the cities, including commercial, residential, and of course, Laughlin Air Force Base, which falls under another grouping. And then finally, $24 million of new debt included in the new water rate study. So please know that when we do present that in the next 2 months, it will include $24 million for water debt. Next slide. So what is the second biggest project we've been working on here at the city for the last 6 months is financial reconciliation. We have completed the 23 audit. We have completed the 24 audit. And now we are on to our budget process for 2025-26. And we are also working to finish the audit process for this next year, which will include the reconciliation of Fund 780 and closing that fund out, and then also moving our due tos and due froms appropriately from each fund and making our computer equal what we have at the bank and vice versa from due tos and due froms. And so our budget process is in development, but we still are working on audit-related items. Next slide. Development services. Again, we're streamlining those processes as best we possibly can. We have hired a new planning and zoning director, and she is helping us tremendously. Failure to pull permits, though, can cause a commercial entity's work to stop. We've had that recently, but they have pulled permits and have a new contractor, and work's begun, so we are excited about that. And then finally, contracting with AOCA for plan review, floodplain manager duties, and oversight of building inspections. That's all going on, and I believe in the very near future, next week, we have a meeting with our developers, another meeting, monthly meeting, I believe. I'm sorry? Oh, sorry, this Thursday. Finally, drainage. The city's drainage study is nearing completion. The county has requested us to enlarge a drainage detention north of Walmart. So we are looking at performing additional survey work to determine if the detention needs to be upsized beyond the city, beyond this, what the city contracted our engineers to do. And provided the county with notice of funding opportunities. When I went to my conference, I found out that there was an opportunity for some drainage grant money and loan money through Texas Water Development Board Flood Infrastructure Fund. And so I provided that information to the county judge. We have surveys beginning to be performed on parcels needed for the San Felipe drainage detention. And that's not just surveys, that should also say and appraisals. Carranza Park detention is in construction. Next slide. Now we move to economic development, which is very important to many people. Working with Retail Coach on new retailers and restaurants to locate in the city of Del Rio. We serve not just 37,000 population in Del Rio, yet we're serving really 280,000 population in the service region. That has been determined through cell phone usage at Walmart. We have, Retail Coach has met, or actually, I believe it's coming up. I shouldn't have said met. They will be meeting with 7 interested restaurants and retailers at the ICSC conference in Las Vegas on behalf of the city of Del Rio. Next slide. Other projects, we have Project Harvest that we're working with. We work with Levcor, Ryan Group, Retail Coach, and many others. We've identified parcels to submit to the governor's office for the economic development for potentially locating a Fortune 500 company. So not only do we look for retailers and restaurateurs, but we're looking for primary jobs. That would be any primary job that could come out of this Fortune 500 company. Next slide. Economic development also, regional airline recruitment, it does affect many. And so the city staff is working with consultants to recruit a regional airline service to Del Rio. I believe that's even on this evening's agenda. We need to remember that this not only benefits citizens, retailers, and industrial businesses, but it really affects hospital and medical service recruitment for Del Rio and government services such as Laughlin Air Force Base and CBP. Next slide. We obviously are working on the second international bridge. City staff is working with consultants to move the presidential permit process forward. The consultants are currently working on environmental assessments on the 4th route. Next slide. Next slide. That may be it. That may be the last one. So if we can move on from this item to the next item.
Okay, we're on item number C, presentation on the funding sources for water projects.
If anybody would like to look at a copy, I believe there's a few more copies on the corner of the table over here. Can we start with water? Thank you. Oops. There we go. This is a very hard spreadsheet to read from the public's perspective, if you will. So please know that we're going to try to enlarge it as best as we can. We do have copies spread out throughout the room, and if you would like a copy afterwards, please know that it's a working copy and that it can change at any moment in time, up and down, depending on the source of funding. So I just wanted to let you know all of the efforts that have gone into the spreadsheet. The ones that are the most important are the blue lines. The first is the east wall containment. That's project number 2. Please note that the first dollar amount is how much we would have to finance after our $200,000 that we've already set aside. So we would finance $1.7 million and change for the east wall containment. And we would use the Texas Military Revolving Loan Fund program for that. We have narrowed down what we think are the best and most efficient and effective sources currently for the city to utilize for these for funding these projects. That's taken a lot of time and about 9 heads in meetings over Teams to figure out. Municipal well is project number 1. If you'll notice, it totals $14,388,924. We propose to use the Texas Water Development Board State Water Implementation Fund, which are the SWIFT funds. Please note that the SWIFT funds are what Greg worked on 2 years ago and has been able to garner for us for this project. $1,693,924 would have to be leveraged then through the Texas Military Value Revolving Loan Fund to complete the total. So those 2 blue lines add up to $14,388,924. And moving down to project 3, which is the top 3 priorities that you've told us to narrow our focus on. If you'll notice, this one is not Agarita Well, but is the water treatment plant. Why is that? Well, SWIFT, we applied for SWIFT funds 2 years ago for this specific purpose, and now they're saying we can actually use those funds for this purpose. It is important, and we do need to replace that filtration system within 4 years. So we are proposing that the Texas Water Development Board SWIFT funds are used for $3,458,400, and the Texas Military Value Revolving Loan Fund is used for $4,880,000 and change. The rest of this spreadsheet is important, but is not feasible at this time in terms of financing. And so I leave that with you for your consideration. If we can move on to sewer.
Does anybody have any questions on water? Mrs. Brooker? Done? No? Go ahead.
On sewer, we have Silver Lake wastewater treatment oxidation ditch. Let me start over. Can you slide back? All right. Let's start with number 1, priority 1. Silver Lake Northside Sewer Outfall Phase 2, that's $23,500,000. Total project estimate at $30,500,000. $7 million is already available. So $23 million is really what this second phase will cost. If we jump up to 2A, the next important item is Silver Lake Wastewater Treatment Plant Improvements, Oxidation Ditch number 2. So many of you, when we toured the sewer plant, saw our oxidation ditches and how full they are. We definitely have to make improvements to those ditches. This is $2 million, and we would use WIFIA funds. WIFIA only pays 49%, so we would have to find additional funding sources. 2B is the Silver Lake Wastewater Treatment Plant improvements, upgrading the ROSWAS pumps, and that's $1 million, and we do not have a specified funding source for that as of yet. 2C is the Silver Lake Wastewater Treatment Plant oxidation ditch and hydraulic improvements. That's $2.8 million. The total project is estimated at $4 million, but we do have $1.2 million funds available. So if you total all of these up, you'll notice that if you total just the yellow lines, that's $29,300,000 for wastewater, and those are urgent. So when you add them all up, we're well over $50 million between water and sewer, and there is probably no way we can finance all of that at one time.
Any questions for Mrs. Brooker? Well, you did item C and item D, right? You did the presentation of funding sources for wastewater.
Yes, and
project.
water.
So you did
This is wastewater.
both, okay. Just wanna make
That's
sure.
all I have at this time, unless you have any questions.
Any questions from the dais? Not? Thank you, Ms. Burkhardt. But we're on number E. Gonna move it?
I'm going to do G. Okay.
We're going to go ahead and move item on number 9, number G, R 2025-079.
Okay.
Before we do the next one, Marty?
Okay, it's going to be item number 9G, Resolution 2025-079, a resolution to authorize and direct the city manager to approve a contract in the amount of $246,425 with Able City LP for Phase 2 of the Pop Poke Rehabilitation Project.
Do I have a motion on the dais?
Motion.
JP, do I have Councilwoman Martinez? Do I have a discussion? I think we have a representative in the audience. Any questions, concerns? No. This is the time? Any questions from you guys?
When are we going to get started?
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Yes, we're just here to answer any questions, and we've already started to move forward. I got some great news today. They found all of the components for the marquee, so we're actually starting with that part. We're already working with our structural engineers to start looking at that component, and I'm just here to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Well, I don't think they have any questions. All in favor, say aye, so you can go ahead and start on the marquee tomorrow.
Great, yes, absolutely. Appreciate it. Thank you
Sir,
very much.
appreciate
You have a
it.
great
Why
night.
not right now?
It's gonna rain.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
We are back to item 6E, presentation by Del Rio Little League regarding the use of fields, concession stands, and buildings located at the City of Del Rio William S. Nixon Sports Complex, Bill Jewell Field, Yuko Park Field, and Popward Field at the request of Mayor Alvaro Arreola.
I think I brought this back so that Mr. Briones can explain to us, and then Scott can also be with him to the presentation.
No, I guess we should be able to go. You wanna introduce?
Scott, do you want to introduce him?
So I'll introduce everybody. Scott Kirk, Casey Operations and Compliance Manager. Tonight, Del Rio Little League President Balde Briones has some words to share with y'all, and then we can answer any questions that y'all may have.
Thank you, sir. Mr.
Mayor, council, good evening. So for those of y'all who don't know much about Del Rio Little League, we're the largest youth organization in Del Rio. So just a quick snippet about us. We're currently have over 675 kids that are registered for this season. Over 150 volunteers. I think we're more along the lines of 200. And so we are in discussions with contract with the city of Del Rio. For those of you who don't remember, I was here a month ago in which we were able to donate a scoreboard and sod to the city of Del Rio to improve Popward Park, right? And so the whole purpose of me being here is to more about discuss a collaborative effort and a partnership with the city of Del Rio. Prior to this year, we've had a rental agreement with the city in which we rent the 7 fields. I'm sorry, 6 fields, right? 5. So with those fields that we rent, there's a possibility of other leagues that are coming and trying to either start or form. There's multiple travel organizations in town that are also looking at field usage, right? We all know that Del Rio has a lack of fields for that matter. So what we're trying to do is more like secure or give Del Rio Little League priority over the rental of these fields. As we are the only organization who is giving back to the city of Del Rio, right? So I have a couple of pictures here. So part of the largest concern is the condition of the fields. So this picture right here is Popward Park, right? So this is before we did the donation. So as you can see, the field is in poor shape, overuse. I know there were some issues with that field as well. I know that they also ended up having to shut down the Field of Dreams football field because of overuse. And so what we want to do is also allow these fields to have recuperation time. So part of the discussion that I had with Scott and the city manager was trying to partner in which we would donate back to the city. Obviously, it's hard to get funds allocated to Parks and Rec. The issue becomes whether or not it can be allocated or reallocated to something else. So what I'm trying to do is secure the fields for Del Rio Little League during the time that we're using it, and create this partnership with the city so that we can also help reinforce or new projects. We're discussing about a 5-year plan, right? So over the past couple of years, here's some more pictures of the field in poor condition. This is actually the scoreboard before it was put up. This is Yuko Park. This is Bill Jewell. So due to over rental, overuse, Del Rio Little League is stepping in, right? I thought I had the picture here. So Del Rio Little League has stepped in to assist the city and try to improve these parks. So in this slide right here, you see where in 2023, we actually donated the scoreboard at Yuko Park, right? 2024, new scoreboard at Bill Jewell Field. 2025, Popward new scoreboard. Here it is right here. And there's also that picture right there of this field that we just donated to Popward, right? So down here, we've also collaborated with the county, and we put new sodded fields 4 years ago with the county, and even put a window, thanks to, we were inspired by the city of Del Rio and their new concession stand. And so we actually have new windows at the Alcoa Park as well, right? So part of me coming to the city, like I said, is more about a collaborative effort and trying to work together so that we can develop a 5-year plan into where we're reinvesting back into the city. So as you can see, we're already doing it without even having that agreement. The issue is just trying to secure. We're the only organization in town that is donating back to the city. And what I want to do is make sure that we have that availability. So there's some questions about how or where we're coming from. And with the amount of money that we've contributed, this is being over $25,000 approximately that we've donated to the city in the past 4 years. And so I just want to make sure that we're understanding and not necessarily Del Rio Little League trying to oust any other organization, right? We have also worked through other entities in Del Rio with regards to travel ball and bringing tournaments to town. We're renting the fields, so our name, our insurance is on those fields, we're liable. You know, we've already made agreements with Scott last year where we would relinquish fields over the weekend so that other entities could have tournaments, right? The only thing we're asking for is for people to take care of the fields just like we are. So at this time, I just wanted to be here for any questions. I want to make sure that everybody understands that Del Rio Little League is coming from a good place. We are the largest youth organization in town, and it's all about the youth's well-being and quality of life, right? And so that's why I'm here, and I wanted to make sure if anybody has any questions with regards to an agreement. I know that with the $25,000 that we have donated to the city, you know, there was a proposal or discussions about possibly giving us a discount because we're in turn reinvesting back into the city. And so that would have been the only reason as to why a discount would have been offered, right? Because we're not necessarily making a whole lot of money. In one of the previous slides, the income that we had this past year was $135,000, of which we ended up spending $125,000, right? So everything is going back to the youth, whether it's to collaborating with the county for new sod, sand. We also helped with sand last year and sandy loam with the city. So there's other things that are too much to list here, but we are working together, right? And so that's just where I'm coming from, and I wanted to make sure that if anybody had any questions with regards to our agreement.
Any questions from you guys? I guess you said collaborate and cut expenses, or what was it, or negotiate
I'm sorry, say it again.
fees?
So,
Negotiation on the fees, or what was it?
so in the preliminary discussions that the city manager, Scott, and I had with our donations, we were talking about paying a deposit towards the concession stands since we're not really making money on the concession stand. So we're talking about making a deposit to where, I'm sorry, I'm going blank here, like a security deposit in case there's any damages, right? So I did express that Little League is liable and we're willing to pay for anything, as we've already donated $25,000. So there's nothing to worry about that this Del Rio would not take care of any damages that may be incurred. And so that essentially was the discount, was not necessarily charging us for the rental of concession stands, but a security deposit should there be any damages.
But on that, would that be negotiated with you, Scott, or with the league itself? Oh,
Sorry. It would be with city council in your contract discussions.
and another thing is, you said that anybody else can use the fields on the weekend.
That's correct. So Del Rio Little League has a liability insurance, and we are liable Monday through Friday as part of the agreement. But yes, we would be willing to relinquish. I believe that most of the tournaments have been held at the Field of Dreams because there are 2 fields there, and so we did that last year, and so we have no problem continuing to do that this year.
Now, this is for boys and girls, right? Or is it
This
just
is for
boys?
baseball and softball, correct?
So if I can, on the,
Go ahead,
on
Tom.
the field use, so yes, last year, we did, Little League did, work with us to try to get other, groups, time at the field, on the weekends. One thing that we ran into, though, is we did have, some minor damage occur. And it got tricky to try to figure out who did what. So, internally with Lazaro, we were trying to look at it as a 7-day rental, per se, for Del Rio Little League for their season. And that way we kind of limit who else is using the fields for damage purposes. But again, that's all completely up to council on how they want to work that part out. That was why we were just trying to come together to reach some type of agreement in documenting all of this.
Hold on. Anna?
Basically, what the questions that I have are regarding the specific terms of the agreement. You've talked about mutually helping each other, but what is it specifically that Little League is asking for?
So at our meeting with the city manager, it was brought up to pay $2,500 for field rentals and $250 deposit for the concession stands.
And the concession stands, are they being used by Little League, or are they allowing somebody else to sublease it?
So the concession stands are not being run by Del Rio Little League. Del Rio Little League is providing a service back to the community in trying to assist for somebody to run the concession stand for games. So Del Rio Little League is not profiting from the use of the concession stands. And so that was part of the reason as to giving that security deposit versus charging the full price.
So you're saying that, do the concessionaires pay you a fee, Little League a fee?
The concessionaires paid $25 to use this per game for the week or day.
Okay, so that's not much of a benefit to Little League, is it?
That's not, no ma'am. It's more about providing a service to the community as people come out to watch the ball game in their community, in their part of town, and are able to buy their chili bags.
Yeah, one of the problems we ran into is that there's different components of the project, and when it comes to concession stands, there's a very specific way that we lease them out. It's called a licensing agreement, and we would have to look into the finances of the people that are selling there, how much they're making, if the city is getting their money's worth in exchange for somebody else making money. So that's one of the issues.
And it would function somewhat like Roosevelt Park or Bank and Trust Field?
We'll
Something
probably
similar?
need some specifics, because I don't know how they work,
Okay.
Because they have concessions.
I believe it's a sublease.
Concession stands.
but I don't know how it works.
Oh, that's something that Scott can look into, right, Scott?
Well, that field, so that field is a little different because that's a mutual project between the city and school district. The school district maintains the field. The city maintains the bleachers and the fences, the painting. So I know for that particular field, they do have a concessionaire that is completely separate from the city. We don't handle any of that. That's either through Babe Ruth or the school district.
Is it a single organization that mans the concessions, or does it go to the organization that's using the field?
Where, at Roosevelt? At Bank of Trust?
I'd have to get back. The part I don't know is on the school district. I think the school district runs their concession, but I'd have to confirm that. I don't know that for sure yet. I'd have to dig into that one.
What about in the Babe Ruth League? Do you all have the regular concession stand individuals when you get the concession stands?
From what I understand, the concessionaire at the Bank and Trust field is the same one for the high school, and so for Babe Ruth and for the high school games. So we don't, like I said, we don't really profit off of the concession stands.
Do you know if the Roosevelt Park, who profits off of those concession stands?
I couldn't tell you, but I do know, like I said, it's the same concessionaire that mans the high school field for the high school games and the Babe Ruth.
Usually it's the boosters.
Yeah, so it's
Boosters.
it's a public organization, which would be nice for us too. And then in addition, there's signs that you place out on the field. And do people pay you so that they can place their signs out on the field?
Yes, ma'am. So being a not-for-profit, all the money that comes in to help make donations back to the city or fund the kids' equipment and their uniforms comes from these sign sponsors and their team sponsors.
And how much would a sign rental cost? How much
So the sign purchase is $300,
per season or?
and that is per season, yes, ma'am. So it's put up at the beginning of the season, which they are all up now, fields have them. And so it'll be taken down at the conclusion of the season, which would be a termination of our agreement is typically August.
And then in terms of the fee, what kind of reduction in fees are you asking for?
So essentially, it would be a waiver of the use of the concession stands, with it being only a $250 concessions security deposit.
Is that a big issue for y'all since you don't make any money off of it? Would you allow the city to license it out to another organization? Would that be okay with you?
Obviously, now we already have it set, right? To say that would we be willing to do that? No, it would work similarly, right? Like we were saying, we're trying to provide a service to the community at the ballpark. With needing to pay the total cost for all concessions, that I believe it was like another $4,500 or $5,000. With us, obviously, it's a pretty big deal, right? And it would be a matter of us probably not including that in our contract and not renting the concession stand.
So that's not a big issue for the league?
So it's not a big issue because instead of us having to secure someone, if y'all would do it, it takes that off of our hands.
Okay. And then in terms of the use of the field, what are you looking for in terms of the reduction in fees?
We aren't. I'm not looking at a reduction in fees at all for the use of the fields. It was just a matter of discussion about wanting to collaborate more and partner for future projects, right? Like right now, the Field of Dreams doesn't have covered bleachers. And so that was something that I was discussing to him, that I have sponsors and I have labor sponsors as well that are willing to help in that project. And so that's really where I'm coming from. And so in wanting to help provide for our youth, our community, I wasn't really looking for a reduction. In all the amount of money that we're bringing to the city, it was proposed that, well, we appreciate you, let's work on more things, and if we can have a 5-year plan where we are establishing projects every year, then we can honor you a discount. Okay. And that's kind of where that was coming from. So am I looking for something particular other than not necessarily having to pay for the concessions? That would be it.
Do you currently pay the established fee for the use of the fields?
Yes. We think there was a proposed discount of $200 or $250.
And so what else do you need from the field? What else are you asking the city to?
So these 3 scoreboards were donated by Del Rio Little League. Part of the rental ordinance should another organization want to come in and rent the field, is they have to pay a deposit for the use of the controller, right, to ensure that safety, or it is returned, or if it is broken, they can purchase another one.
Okay. And would this money go to the Darrell Little League, or would it go to the city?
So essentially, we donate it to the city, right? So the deposit would be charged by the city to use that field and to use those scoreboards. As the donor of the scoreboards, I'm asking not to have to pay a safety deposit on something that I donated to the city.
Okay, and so in exchange for this, what is Darrell Little League proposing? There was something about maintenance of the fields in the prior proposal.
So we already contribute towards the maintenance of the fields, right? And as clearly, we donated the entire sod for Popward. So I'm not necessarily asking for a whole lot other than not having to pay for concessions. We are already working through what we assist with. Darrell Little League does not want to be obligated to assist a certain amount for that, because it is already something that is budgeted and being used by Parks and Rec. So Darrell Little League just wants to partner so we can look at future projects for things that are not present or not accounted for in the Parks and Rec's budget.
And so I'm having a hard time understanding, and maybe Scott, you can help us out. What's the give and take here? Because it doesn't sound like they're asking for anything different than what they're getting now.
If I may interject on that last comment, I believe there was a discussion of reserving the fields only for ball games rather than for practice.
Yes, and so that's something that we, mentioned. We have that issue with the gyms. We have the same issue with all our fields. Trying to reserve fields for game use versus practice. And that was one thing that, Balde and Lazaro, when they toured the fields before the season, we have football on baseball fields. We have soccer on baseball fields. And they wear the fields out, like the outfield gets worn out. Whereas if it's just baseball, you have one kid standing in one spot until the ball's hit to him versus, 11 or 12 kids running back and forth on a confined area of an outfield. So that was one thing that we wanted to look into, and that would probably have to be an internal policy that we would request council's permission for. But as far as the agreement, so the difference in it all is versus, and I think there may be some documentation that was attached to the item, if we charged all the fees according to the ordinance, we would be asking them for an additional $4,300.
But why is that?
That's
what
the
does
deposits for each controller, the deposits for each concession stand, and the fee to use the concession stand, which is, each concession stand is $25 per day, right? And so over the length of the season, and I'm sorry I did the math, it was, a couple $1,000s. So in exchange for what they were offering in donations is where Ms. Burkhart, kind of guided us that, we're collecting the field usage fee, but the rest of the, the concession stands and the deposits were something that we could do without.
So to simplify, the concession stands aren't a big deal. The use of the fees, they're already paying the set rate.
Correct.
So we're just looking at waiving deposit fees?
Correct.
Okay, and do they get anything in exchange for that?
The only thing, like city manager's mentioning, is that I would like to see about preserving our fields. They're only fields we have, and like he was saying, is trying to ensure that the softball fields are being rented for softball purposes, the baseball fields for baseball purposes, throughout the season. It's just a matter of, or even at the end of the season when we're bringing possible tournaments. I know there's been discussions about Little League trying to bring tournaments. This also allows fields to rest, right? Because that's the biggest issue, is we only have so many resources, and if we don't take care of what we have, then we won't have anything. Obviously, Turf fields is probably the solution for everything, but that's not in the budget, right? So we're just looking at possibly conserving and preserving what we do have, and that way we continue to build on it and have them actually look like baseball, softball fields.
So your big ask is the scheduling.
Correct.
Okay.
The other thing I was going to ask, who pays the umpires?
We do.
What's the fee?
The fee is for behind the plate, $50 a game. For on the bases, $40 a game. So we're paying $90 for majors and minors and junior seniors, right? So you asked about the signs. So that goes into our fees that we're also putting forth.
And the reason I bring it up is because the city doesn't have a set policy, so this would give us an opportunity to set a policy in terms of the signs. You know, you can do that for nonprofits and just waive those fees, but, because we shouldn't be for-profit. So, and then one more question. What is it, why do you think you need an MOU?
The MOU was just, like I said, it was just more of trying to ensure that we had a way to continue. The problem with the city, the way that certain projects are proposed or the way that funding works is that sometimes it might be there, but then it could get reallocated because it's in the general fund from what I understand. And so my big push is that I want to continue to develop these fields. And so in what I am proposing, I would like to ensure that we do have first priority in the rental of these fields during the season that we have every year that we're servicing over close to 700 kids. So essentially, like I mentioned earlier, there was another organization that was possibly trying to rent a few fields and maybe start their own league. Now, we did mention non-for-profit, which we are, and this other organization is not. And they do charge for parking, which is a whole other thing, right? So, that's a whole other topic. But my biggest thing is we service the youth of this community. And so I want to ensure that if I'm going to be continuing to donate or we're going to partner in improving these fields, that Del Rio Little League does have first priority. Should we have a reduction in our numbers and we don't need all the fields, we'll relinquish, that can be rented. We're not going to rent that for this season. However, we want to include it in our agreement or whatever, right? But the biggest thing is just to be sure that we are the first option for the City of Del Rio fields, and then that we also continue to reduce the usage so they do have field time.
Now, so
Recovery time.
basically, just to summarize, first of all, nobody's authorized to charge for parking, so.
That's another.
Yeah.
Hey,
Correct.
But to summarize, you just want a priority scheduling, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But you all been working on that, right? Together, Scott? You and Baldo?
Yes, sir. So after the meeting with Ms. Burkhart, she instructed me to try to draft something that would formalize an agreement between the city and the Little League. I wanted to go back to touch on just one thing, on why we were in support of prioritizing Little League to use the fields. Last year, we had an issue arise. We had another group come in and they wanted to rent the fields for a year and squeeze Little League out. And I told him no. He got very upset because I had nothing to stand on other than I just didn't agree with it. This formalizes that. So we can dedicate the fields for Del Rio Little League for their set season. Now, after the season, one of the things Lázaro and I would like to implement is we take a month off. Let the fields sit a month, right? Everybody else in the world does that. We're just 24/7 using up our fields. So that's going to be in a turf management presentation I'll give you on a couple weeks. But we were encouraging prioritization of the fields for Little League.
Do you think it would work? It sounds like a policy decision. And it's good that the city council was able to hear what the goals were, but it sounds like you don't need a legal document. You just need to establish a policy, and the policy could be nonprofits first, and then we work out the details on it, but it doesn't sound like you need a formal agreement.
Even better.
Yeah, so thank you for the information.
Now, going back to concessions, since they weren't that important, but what happens if somebody else goes and sells stuff there, do they have to go get permits with the city?
Yes. So if Little League is not going to rent the concession stands, then that concessioneer, or whoever it is, whether the city finds somebody or we put out an advertisement for concessioneers, they would have to then rent the concession stand directly from the city. It wouldn't be through Little League.
But if they get it, you're still gonna do the same process, right?
Well, and that's,
They're
I
only
think
get it for
that's
the
where some of the confusion came in. You know, when I was explaining it to Balde about the subleasing, right? That's basically what that is. Little League's renting it from us for free, not for free, at a reduced rate. Then they're having somebody go in under their name, and that company or that person is now making money for selling something on city property. And the city didn't see any return for that. But at the same time, I understood what he was saying, which was, you know, if we don't do it that way, the cost becomes so much that it's difficult to find concessionaires because, you know, I think a couple of days, they only have one game at a field, you know, and that concessionaire has to pay $25 to rent the concession stand. They may only make $5. We don't know, right? Or they could make $500. You know, so there's a gamble in that, and that's where we were trying to alleviate some of that gamble to the Del Rio Little League.
So what would be the directions from here, Ms. Smith?
Well, like I said, this sounds like a policy decision, and so you just have to enforce your policies. And I'm glad you brought up the parking, because I think that should be part of the policy. There, you can't charge for parking and add to the policy. The city manager already has the authority to allow them to hang the signs.
Correct.
So we just need to formalize that. And, I mean, it just really sounds like a simple ask. It really does. It just sounds like a policy, enacting a policy, and you really don't need council approval for that.
Councilman Lopez?
Mr. Balde, how many years have you been doing this in the city of Del Rio?
This is my third year in the Little League Board.
In the 3 years have you been doing it, sir, have you ever had so much complications in what you're trying to accomplish?
It comes with the territory, I would say, right? Like I said, God works in mysterious ways, and maybe I'm here for a reason. And so if we can make this happen, then that's what I'm here for.
As far as the maintenance to the fields, recently I have a grandson, he played in Alcoa fields. I was impressed with the Alcoa fields, green, clean, no machine. I have not gone to
Hey,
our
don't
parks.
knock our fields, man. They're getting
Now, wait a
there.
minute.
They're 100%.
I haven't gone to our fields because none of my grandkids are playing in Little League yet. But, you know, even all the other parks, some of them are in great shape. I'm just saying that I don't know the procedure, I don't know the maintenance as far as when to, when not to water it, to cut it, to preserve it, give it a week of rest or whatever. But I'm just asking, I've never seen some complications in what you're trying to accomplish, the concession stands. My parents had concession stands when they had the Hogan Park. Okay, I don't know what happened to that money or what they profit. It was a service to the community for them to have refreshments and food so they won't have to bring their own and make trash. So I see that as a convenience.
Yes, sir.
Again, I don't know the policy, I don't know the procedures, I haven't read it, I haven't looked into it. I'm just glad that you're trying to make an effort to do the correct thing, so to take care of the fields. And I just hope in cooperation with the city that we can do that, establish a time of use, and probably for our other organizations on the weekend that you say you don't use, to say that you left it in great shape, come back Monday, somebody tore up a field for some particular reason. And it's hard because I've seen parents take their own kids, just the parents, and practice on the fields for their batting or catching or whatever. I've seen parents do that. Now, as far as, I've seen, there was a lady that that approached me about baseball on the softball fields by Buena Vista. It was disturbing to hear that she said we had to cancel 2 games. I don't know what particular week or time, because the lights would not come on. What lights, certain lights, all lights, 2 lights, I don't know. So they had to cancel games. So that's what I think with the Parks Department, either they go turn them off or they go put them on, double check them before the games start, because that already happened twice to what a parent told me. I guess she was a
I
coach.
think we're getting out of topic.
Oh, well,
here.
anyway,
Okay.
it's a field.
So,
so-
at-
Just a What response?
You better just don't go in too far into this,
No, no,
okay?
no, no.
You already said about the policy.
Okay, in response to what Councilman Lopez said, that, have you ever seen anything so complicated? I have to say, that's what happens when you get attorneys involved. And not only was I involved, we had the firm in San Antonio involved, so lesson learned, you know.
At this time, there's no blaming game. We got the solution. The solution is you're gonna get with Scott and Mrs. Burkhardt and find a policy that'll meet the needs for the kids, which is, and we have been talking about this for the last an hour and 45 minutes, so this is how important this is. So we want to appreciate you coming up and doing the presentation, Mr. Valdemar Briones. And thank you, Scott, also for working with them on this issue. And hopefully we can come to an agreement. There's a benefit to the kids. Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, we are on item number 7, discussion and possible action on and application for the official naming of a park in the area currently known as Severano Perez Parkway, Del Rio Skate Park.
Do I have a motion to the dais?
Um,
Or this, you want to discuss it first?
I would like to discuss it.
Okay. Who's, Scott?
Scott.
I think you're up. What's your question, sir?
My question is the Severino Parkway, park named for the whole park as far as the amphitheater, the Joe Ramos, or just a certain area of the park?
It's a certain area of the park.
So-
And the skate park is currently in Severino Parkway Park.
Okay. So every time we make an improvement or an addition to any park, we're going to change it to that particular improvement and do away with the park's names?
No, so it would still be Severino Parkway Park, just the actual skate area would be called a skate garden.
Okay. I just
And
want
it
to
would be
clarify
called the
because-
Del Rio Skate Garden.
Right.
And the designer is the one that was requesting that, and because it's listed currently as a skate park, but the whole design was for it to be a skate garden, and it would be, it's first in the state. And just for giggles, if you Google it, it shows up as Del Rio Skate Garden on Google Maps. So,
Okay, well, no problem. It's just saying you just want to name that particular area, not the whole park.
yeah, no, it's not changing the name to the whole park, of the whole park.
Just want to clarify that. 'cause
Sure.
I wasn't sure. It looks like you want to change a whole park.
Yeah, no, just the actual skate area there is
Put a
gonna
sign
change.
there that says that's what it.
Correct.
Okay, no problem.
Any other questions for Scott from the dais? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
JP, second. Councilman Lopez. Any other questions? Not, all in favor?
So the motion would be to move forward with the,
Yes.
Recommendation?
Right, JP?
Your recommendation.
okay.
Move forward.
With the Del Rio Skate Garden.
Thank you. And can I see the motions again? I'm sorry, I missed those.
Motion done by JP, second by Councilman Lopez.
Thank you.
All in favor? All right.
Right.
Okay, the next item is number 8, presentation and discussion on City of Del Rio Golf Commission.
Scott?
Now you know why I sat close.
You better stay up there.
Oh, I think Camila's gonna control it from the back. Oh, there we are. Okay, so I brought this to council tonight because we're going to give an update to the Golf Commission tomorrow We did have a commission member question us on what is the role of the Golf Commission. Next slide. So I just gave just a quick brief history of the golf course and some of its uniqueness. I got all this information out of our golf course master plan. It's 86 acres of 9 holes, with the 2 of undeveloped tracks north of the existing course, which total 73 acres. That'll be the area north, kind of where the new well is planning on going. It has great historical significance in the fact that it was the first golf course built in Texas by John Brademas, the famed designer of such courses as the Colonial Country Club in Fort Worth, and this was all done in 1921. In addition to its historical significance, the golf course occupies land that was once inhabited by indigenous peoples due to its proximity to the springs along the creek. Next slide, please. And that has kind of been the driving force on why we haven't developed the additional 9 holes, because there was a lot of archaeological sites that were gonna have to be worked around. So in here, it shows design or construction work anywhere on this site will require close coordination and permitting with the Texas Historical Commission. Beyond the archaeological challenges, the golf course and the additional property all appear to be in and around the floodplain and floodway. It appears that portions of every existing golf hole are in the 100-year floodplain, and there are 5 holes that are in the regulatory floodway. I mention this because, you know, we've had a lot of discussions about holes 4 and 7, and the want of the Golf Commission, along with golfers, wanting us to replace those holes. So that's going to take some additional work. I've already been in communication with Greg, Public Works Director. We'll be having to go through AOCA, our floodplain manager, to give them what we want to do on repairing those holes and get approvals from them to do it. So in 2015, the golf course became a municipal golf course. On October 20th, 2015, during a regular city council meeting, the city council voted to municipalize the San Felipe Golf Course as of November 1st, 2015. The previous owners terminated the lease and they ceased golf course operations. So on November 3rd of 2015, city staff presented fees to be charged at the golf course with the recommendation to keep those fees in the month of November and come back and introduce a better fee structure to go into effect in January of 2016. Next slide, please. So on December 15th, 2015, the Golf Commission was established. And I just listed the body of the resolution. The city municipalized the San Felipe Golf Course. The city now has all operational aspects related to the golf course. Since the city has full operations, it is recommended by staff to establish a golf commission to advise city council on all matters relating to use, maintenance, improvement, promotion, and operation of the San Felipe Springs Golf Course. This commission will review and approve the golf course's annual fiscal year budget and operating plan. The commission will also review monthly financial reports, course fee structure, and provide an annual report to city council. And that is ordinance number 2015-117. So then I kind of just went through and listed for y'all the different ordinances in case y'all wanted to look them up, in case you're not like me that likes to read ordinances in your downtime. So that way you could have it to go back to. So the main purpose of the meeting or the presentation tonight is to determine what is the purpose of this commission. So according to section 607-607 in our Code of Ordinances, the Golf Commission shall have the following duties and responsibilities: develop and make recommendations to City Council on matters concerning the operations and management of the golf course, advise City Councils on matters relating to the use, maintenance, improvement, promotion, and operation of the San Felipe Golf Course, Review and approve the golf course's annual fiscal year budget and operating plan. Review monthly financial reports, course fee structure, and provide an annual report to City Council, and then perform additional duties and functions as may be required from time to time by specific action and direction of the City Council. Next slide. Oh, shoot, I missed one. Go ahead and skip forward another one. And another one. Thanks. Okay, so on this slide, I listed what our current practice is versus what the ordinance says. So develop and make recommendations to the City Council on matters concerning the operations and management. That's currently done by city staff and the city manager. Now, we do provide updates monthly to the Golf Commission on the operations and recommendations for improvements out there. All the recommendations are coming straight out of the Golf Master Plan that I referenced before. Advise City Council on matters relating to the use, maintenance, improvement, promotion, and operation of the San Felipe Golf Course. Again, currently, we use city staff, administration, and we provide monthly updates to the Golf Commission on our progress of any maintenance, improvements, or promotion of the golf course. Review and approve the golf course's annual fiscal year budget. All of that is done by city staff and the city manager, and then that in turn is presented to City Council. We have not had direct input on these matters from the Golf Commission. Review monthly financial reports, course fee structure, and provides an annual report to City Council. We do provide monthly financial reports. The course fee structure hasn't been changed. I have not been aware of any annual report provided to City Council by the Golf Commission. And then perform additional duties and functions as may be required from time to time by specific action and direction of City Council. That's the Golf Commission. So I just wanted to list kind of the things that we're currently doing versus what the ordinance says the Golf Commission should do. And so when the Golf Commission member posed that question, that's when I came to Ms. Burkhardt and said, yeah, we kind of need some direction because we're in conflict with the city ordinance currently. So that's why I wanted to present that to y'all tonight to get some feedback from y'all on, do we want the Golf Commission to do these items, or do we continue with city staff doing some of these items with us presenting them to the commission and them making their recommendations to us? So when the Golf Commission was established in 2015, it's because the city hadn't run a golf course. So over the last 10 years, the city has taken on more and more responsibility of operating the golf course. So that's where it kind of comes into, what exactly is the purpose? I think the purpose has been met of the Golf Commission. Do we need to change what their duties are now to make recommendations or whatever? That's what I needed to present to y'all, for y'all to tell us, how do you want us to proceed? Oh, next slide, please.
So if I may interject, I asked Scott to present this in a method that would allow City Council to individually tell us what is important. Right now, this is simply a division of the Parks Department, and it is part of the general fund, so it falls under our regular budget processes that we go through for the city. It does not require necessarily the input, and so, or having, if you will, teeth to that input. And so we don't want to cut off that input. We want to share that input and get the commission's responses, if that's the city council's desire. But it is part of a regular budgetary process already through the general fund.
The money that's collected, does it go into a separate fund or it goes into the general fund?
It goes
It
back
goes
to
in
the general fund.
fund.
And so,
It was municipalized and put into the general fund as part of the Parks Department.
so currently, the golf course loses about $220,000 a year. So it's supported by the rest of the general fund. And that's with all the revenue coming in and all the expenses going out. Flavio ran a chart for me. So from 2018 to now, we were at about 170, then it would increase to about 190, then we'd hit 200, and then we'd be at 205, 210, and now we're upwards of $220,000 in the red.
I guess my question would be, does the commission know where they're at as far as finances month to month? Or
Yes.
they have, do
We've-
you all present those financial reports to them?
Correct. We have started. Now, before Flavio came in as our golf business manager, we had no idea. The previous golf superintendents were usually golfers who weren't really on the financial side. So that's why we separated outdoor maintenance. We have a golf course grounds manager, and we have a golf course business manager, now Mr. Ayala.
Oh, I was gonna ask if you were gonna present them.
I'm going to present him here in a second because he's got some good ideas.
All right.
And so come on up.
Take the heat out of me. You're
So,
next.
so yeah, Mr. Ayala's been with us for 2 weeks?
This is our third week.
Third week.
Third week, yes.
Present, huh?
So Carlos Ayala, our golf business manager, he comes with a background of retail, sales, and inventory, and mainly in the alcoholic beverage side of things.
Service industry.
Service industry. So he has already been a wealth of knowledge for us. We've been bouncing ideas off of him. He's proposed some really good ideas to get the golf course, you know. I told him he's not going to fix it in 6 months, but maybe in 6 years. We're doing pretty good. So I'll let him kind of talk about his vision.
Well, I'll keep it short, but again, thank you. Thank you, City Council, for letting me speak for a little bit, Mr. Casey. We here with the golf course have a great asset for this city, for this community. I'm really proud and glad that I have the opportunity, to manage it. I'm a big golf fan as well, so I enjoy the game itself. I enjoy the culture of the game. But I think we have a tremendous opportunity to make a difference with that asset that we have, and so I'm looking forward to that. I'll be working in tandem with my leadership to make sure that we're always heading in that direction. And so again, I really don't have much more to say other than I'm looking forward to what's going to happen next at the golf course.
Any questions for Mr. Ayala? Well, congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. The only thing you said we just started presenting finances to the commission, right, to the board?
Correct.
And so now we're gonna do a regular, like.
We do them
other-
every month.
So like this, and know where, now, what's the participation there? Do we have 100% participation? Are you short of commissioners or board members or?
I believe we have one vacancy that we need to fill. And we discussed that this morning at our every Tuesday meeting. So Ms. Burkhart brought that forward, that we do need to focus on that and get that position filled. So there was also talks of, so since golf is under the park system now, and council gave us direction to revamp the Parks Commission, there was discussion of, do we fold those two together? Since golf is under parks and they all use parks money. So we kind of wanted guidance on that from y'all. Do we kind of combine into the Parks Golf Commission? Because they're all in competition for the same dollars in the parks budget. And so, it kind of, we get feedback from the Golf Commission, they want this, and, we tell them, we can do X, but we can't do Y, or we can't do X or Y. We try to get creative on ways of doing it. And we do the same thing for all the parks, right? We have done some improvements at the golf course, fencing, bridges. I think the whole reconstruction for 4 and 7 is in the budget amendment tonight before y'all. So, it's just, dollars that we're trying to, everybody has to compete for. And so, I know they get frustrated at, like Carlos put it pretty clear for me. He said, the greens make the course. If we don't have greens, nobody's going to play. And so we were like, okay. And so he told me, unless we get 4 and 7 fixed, we're going to keep losing money. So we're trying to get 4 and 7 fixed. That's been a priority for a while. We got creative on how we can squeeze some money out, and we're going to get those fixed. Because he has some plans to kind of get energy going back to the golf course and try to make it profitable, or at least break even to where we're not losing $200,000 a year for golf.
On this loss of 200, does that include payroll or?
That's everything, all expenses, operating expenses,
So every time
payroll.
you add a body, you're adding to the losses too, right? Anytime you add a body, you're actually gaining to that loss column.
We haven't added.
You're adding to the expense, yes. And so we didn't add anybody. The golf superintendent was reduced to the golf business manager. So we actually gave you a savings making this plan.
But then we have a manager for the grounds? What is it?
He was already there.
He was already there?
Yeah.
Any directives from this council towards Scott? We'll have to proceed on it. I think we can kind of take the sheet home and
Yeah, that's.
That it?
then we can follow up and get back to you, Scott, and put it back on the agenda, or let you on a one-to-one, or just give it to our survey so we can proceed. Y'all are doing a great job. Just keep it going. Mr. Ayala, if you can find us some money out there to do 4 and 7, it would be great.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any questions, concerns?
Well, I wanted to say a little bit about the meetings and the annual reports and the reports. The committee, as far as I understood, being there for a while, they have no authority of going into the records, the sales, reporting, financing. They got no teeth in saying, this is how much money, this is how much sales. They got no control over that. So, and the annual reports or monthly reports has been 2 months, from my experience, that we have not had any meetings or reports. Based on what's going on, as far as Good Bar tournaments, we got no recognition of what we're making, what we have done, and what we have accomplished.
So up until Flavio left, I know we gave monthly reports.
Well, even Mr. Ochoa at the time, that I remember, he gives some kind of reports with ESME. So they
Right,
gave
and-
reports.
And
So it wasn't.
what I'm,
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of halt it, and I understand you, Scott.
Yes,
and
sir.
Mr. Lopez the same.
Yes, sir.
The thing here, and I'm not trying to
No, no.
stop you in the sense of the question, but we were trying to finalize 3 years audit, and that was included in the package. This is the reason there were some financial reports that won't given to y'all and to some of these committees. And out of respect for Mr. Scott and for finances, hopefully by October of this year, everything will be up to par. But they are going to try to start giving you guys report in May, June, and July. Because they already know more or less where we're at as far as on the
And
finance part.
there's no reason for us not to give that to you. It's an open record, and we will provide that willingly and
Hopefully
just
be
like
accurate.
we did for the bridge and other entities as well.
Because Scott was saying it could be up to this much, but we want to make sure we're accurate with the gains and losses and everything is there.
Correct.
So, have any other questions?
Mayor?
Yes, sir?
Scott, do you have an estimate on how much it would cost to redo 4 and 7?
Yes.
Is there a number out there?
Yes, so doing it in-house is the only way we can afford to do it, and it's about $20,000
Each or for both?
for all of it. All of it. That's sod. The sod is
But
about
just
6,000.
those two holes,
Correct.
4 and 7?
No, I'm sorry, and the putting green, because it's in bad shape too, right? Putting green? So we're gonna fix 4, 7, and the practice putting green.
But we don't know what the cost might be that AOCA may add based
Right.
on flood elevations.
Do we have to get engineers too to go in and tell us?
So that Pandora's box opened when I was preparing this information.
Sing the right song, man.
And I came across it in our master plan, and it says a majority of our holes, which since it's along the creek, I mean, I guess I should have, but we're in the regulatory floodway.
Oh.
Yeah, so regulatory floodway is a lot harder to do anything in. It's possible, it's just more difficult. That's why we have to get approvals and stuff, and we can show them what we're doing. We can show the existing holes, and as long as we hit the same height, we're not making any changes, we just have to get that approval.
Wouldn't we be grandfathered into something like that, Scott?
No.
Let's move our
Because
head.
I was gonna call my grandfather and see if we can get
He was a golfer.
I wish we were. But, yeah, we have to, like I said, I got with Greg, because my eyeballs got about that big, and he assured me that there is a way to do it, we just have to do it the right way.
Any other questions for Scott? Thank you,
I'd like to
Scott.
make a comment.
Go ahead.
Saturday, we had a memorial, Ernie Hernandez Memorial Tournament, golf tournament. There were I don't know much about golf, but I was there helping at the concession, whatever. There were about 70 players, and they were all coming from different areas of Texas or whatever. And they were very pleased, and I needed to say this. They were very pleased with the staff that was working. They were very helpful and very courteous to the players. So, Mr. Ayala, and Claudia, I needed to make that comment, that they were very pleased with the staff. They were very helpful. Thank you.
That's great to hear.
Any other comments? Matt, we'll go ahead with next item. Thank you, Scott.
We are on resolutions now. Item 9A is Resolution 2025-073, a resolution in accordance with state law and the Del Rio Code of Ordinances, providing for the appointment of members to the Building Standards Commission for the City of Del Rio, Texas.
Do I have a motion to approve? Let's see.
I believe Scott will be providing an update
The
on
names?
the names.
Okay.
So I don't have the list of names in front of me, but we do have one that is ineligible. We found out today, she lives in the county. So,
Which was?
It'll be A. Contreras.
So we have to remove her, but the other ones we go ahead and.
the other
approve.
4 are
Do
okay.
you have the names of those, Marty?
Yes, G. Rosales, L. De La Paz, G. Garcia, and A. Alonso.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Second. Councilman Quinones, do I have any other questions for Scott? We
No.
still need 2 more, right?
Yeah, do we have,
So we need 2 alternates and 1 additional member. We have to have 5 on the board. So we'll be bringing those back to you for interviews, hopefully this week.
But this will be a quorum, so they can continue.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
no, we had alternates, yeah.
All right. Any other questions, concerns? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item B is Resolution 2025-074, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Del Rio, Texas, providing for the appointment of 2 members to the Del Rio International Airport Commission.
Do I have a motion to approve the 2 members to the Airport Commission?
I'll make a motion to approve as recommended.
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem DeRusse, second by Councilman Lopez. Approve.
That
To
one?
approve, to,
As
So
presented.
It recommends music for place 5 and Publinsky for place 6.
Okay. Do you have any questions, concerns from the dais? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item C is Resolution 2025-075, an ordinance with the, in accordance with state law and the Del Rio Code of Ordinances, providing for the appointment of a member of the City Council of the City of Del Rio to serve as a commission member of the City of Del Rio Golf Commission pursuant to Chapter 7, Article
that
12,
was gonna be
Section
tabled.
7-601, and to serve as chairperson of the commission pursuant to Chapter 7, Article 12, Section 7-614 of the City of Del Rio Code of Ordinances.
Is that supposed to be? Is that supposed to be tabled?
No, the one that's tabled is
Was item C supposed to be postponed or? Item C?
Because
Why?
let me first share, I'm sorry.
Hold on.
I would state that the councilman did share his desire to possibly resign as chair. However, he did not make that official through any letter. And I believe he still desires to serve, so you may want to pull this item.
Okay. So we're going to pull this item.
Resigning or not?
no, sir.
Okay.
Okay, he's, well,
just
he
saying.
he needs to bring something in writing.
But officially, you want to stay as the chair, right?
Yes, sir,
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay, so this is going to be pulled out, so.
It's pulled out.
so Let's go with the next item.
Okay, item D is Resolution 2025-076, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Del Rio, Texas, to authorize funding by the Del Rio Economic Development Corporation to support marketing efforts by approving a professional services agreement between the Del Rio EDC and the Retail Coach.
Do I have a motion to dais? Or
No,
questions?
a motion.
Councilman Lopez, do I have a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Martinez, do I have any questions, concerns from Mrs. Burkhart? Mr. DeRusse?
The comment, I already talked with Shauna about this item today because I don't know, and this is a semi-rhetorical question for the city attorney. I didn't have a chance to talk to her before the meeting, but do we need to notify the state that we basically violated state procedure by paying this without it coming to city council first?
That decision in the city has been made before.
But EDC funds are not supposed to be expended unless they're approved by city council. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So, and that is state law?
That's correct.
So I mean, we're trying to make it right. I'm going to assume that this is going to be approved, but as Ms. Burkhart and I were talking, this can't happen again.
Right.
Because this is going to get us in trouble.
Certainly.
And, we talked about how it happened and the, confluence of events that led to this, but we really got to be careful. So that's all I got.
Any other comments or questions, concerns? Now we have a first and second, all in favor? Excuse me?
Okay, item E is Resolution 2025,
We already,
I'm sorry,
you got the approval?
sorry,
You
you
got
did
a
a
first
motion
and
and
a
a
second, right? Councilman Lopez, all in favor? Aye.
Councilman DeRusse, I'm sorry, I didn't see your vote. Thank you. Okay, item E is Resolution 2025-077, a resolution formally accepting the dedication of property in the Eagle Pass Hill subdivision for detention ponds, parkland, and street access purposes in accordance with Chapter 26 of the City of Del Rio Municipal Code of Ordinances.
Do I have a motion to dais?
Motion.
Councilman Quinones, second by Councilwoman Martinez. Any questions and concerns? Not, all in favor? Aye. You gonna abstain?
Abstain.
Please abstain.
Item F is Resolution 2025-078, a resolution to authorize and direct the city manager to award a one-year contract with 4 one-year optional renewals with Volair Aviation, Inc. for aviation consultant services.
Do I have a motion to dais?
Motion to authorize
PP?
city manager.
Do I have a second? Councilman Lopez. Do we have any questions and concerns?
Yeah, I'm going to make a comment about this one too. So, I mean, I understand that things take time. It doesn't seem like a whole lot is going on, but I just want to remind everyone that the city's the only one that is paying for this and working it. The city is the only one that paid the $2.9 million to get American Airlines in here to begin with. As Ms. Burkhardt brought up in her update about all of the people that say, oh, this is great for us to have an airline. And, they're not willing to pay. They, for the most part, did not pony up in 2018 when we committed $2.9 million, which we are still paying off. And it doesn't sound like anyone's going to pony up now. And so people need to realize that, as much as we're trying, we are working, we got a lot of other stuff going on. And so we need to, if it comes to it, have a serious conversation about if we have the money to pay, because most likely, given everything that's going on in the aviation industry right now, we're going to have a revenue guarantee just like we did 7 years ago. And it's going to be millions of dollars. I realize that we have the SCASI grant for about 1.2, but that's not going to come close to covering it based off of, that historical. So people just need to realize that. That's all I got.
On that part, I think the chambers and everybody is willing to cooperate as soon as we get into it. Right now, it's the motion to approve this, and we got a first and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Item G was already discussed. Item H is Resolution 2025-081, a resolution to authorize and direct the city manager to approve agreements with Train US, Inc. for maintenance of the City of Del Rio Police Department and Civic Center HVAC systems in the amount of $97,034 through Byboard Contract 720-23.
Do I have a motion to dais?
I'll second.
Councilman Quinones, second by Mayor Pro Tem DeRusse. Any questions, concerns? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Item I is Resolution 2025-082, a resolution to authorize and direct the city manager to approve a 5-year contract in the amount of $513,565.92 for toll system maintenance services at the Del Rio International Bridge.
Do I have a motion to dais? Councilman Quinones, do I have a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Martinez, do I have any questions, concerns? Not, all in favor? Aye.
Item J is Resolution 2025-083, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Del Rio approving the Memorandum of Understanding between the Del Rio Chamber of Commerce, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the County of Valverde, and the City of Del Rio, Texas regarding payment and subscription of Placer AI services in the annual pro rata amount of $4,856.25.
Do I have a motion to dais? Any questions?
Make the motion.
Councilman Lopez, do I have a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Martinez, do we have any questions, concerns?
If I may, Councilwoman, are you part of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce?
Councilman Martinez?
It's not a conflict.
It's not a conflict? Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Okay, we have first and second. Any comments, questions?
Jesse, did you say that you had a comment or something?
No, I just want to say, is this something we do annually or?
No, this is a one-time contractual arrangement if we were to join in the costs of Placer AI services.
And just for transparency, what is that AI?
Would you like to explain it?
Yes, Mayor, City Council. A few meetings ago, the chamber did provide a presentation regarding the Placer AI software system. It's pretty much tracks visits into a particular area, and it pretty much picks up a cell phone. And so in essence, what they used as an example, they used a particular rodeo event, and they were able to track how many visits were made at that particular event. And so it's starting to be utilized in other cities, mainly for tracking, to help regarding hot funds and such. It doesn't tell you that they actually stayed at a hotel, but it at least tells you that a particular individual from outside the city visited your particular area. And again, you can do it by area, and that was part of that presentation that was done by the chamber.
Basically, it's more for events and visitors to Del Rio. Find out how many people come to Del Rio and how many for the events. You know, I guess, like I say, to help you out on the hot tax fund.
That's one way of utilizing this software.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
I made just one error. This is an annual pro rata amount. So if we were to join in, this $4,856 would be annualized.
For how long is that agreement for?
However long they use the Placer AI.
Well,
I mean,
Well, but.
As
we-
presented, the chamber is signing a one-year
year.
contract, so this is a
Yeah,
commitment for 1 year.
yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. So, Mr. Chavez kind of mentioned where I was going with my first question. So, Chamber wants us to pay almost $5,000 to get access to the data. And what is the city going to get from this data? What are we going to use it for? You said hot funds. I'll come back to that. Anything else?
That I'm aware of.
Okay, so the reason that we would need to use it for hot funds is because we have concerns about the veracity of the applications and after-action reports that we get from various groups on how many people actually come to Del Rio. And I mean, I've talked about that a number of times, how I think we need to completely revamp how we do hot funds. There's a number of other cities that do it completely different, where you have to prove how many people you brought into town in order to get funds, versus, oh, we say there's going to be this many. So there's no other reasons that, no other uses that we're going to have for this data? Except to show that these groups probably are fudging the numbers a little bit?
For economic development.
Oh, okay. How is the city going to use this data for economic development? I mean, now, the chamber doing it, using it, that makes a lot of sense to me, right? But what is the use that the city is going to have to spend this money and get access to this data, other than verifying hot funds?
It's also to gauge traffic, so the police department is aware of where there's high traffic. It's information that the streets department can use for the same reason, because they need to know how the streets are used. We need that information for grants. Sometimes they ask you about visits, about people that use certain areas like the skate garden. We would know how many people went to the skate garden. And that was part of the presentation that Mrs. Larson put on.
I know, I was here,
Okay.
okay?
Well, you're asking, so.
I know,
Wait.
because
Maybe
honestly,
Peter can answer
I think
some of
that's a
that.
little bit of a stretch, okay?
Yes,
I'm not done.
Let him final
Okay.
question.
Next question, where's this money coming from?
So
What budget line item is this money coming from?
this expense would actually be eligible using hot funds.
How so? Because I have the requirements right in front of me, Manuel.
Yeah.
Which criteria of the 9 does this fall under?
So checking with the Texas Housing Lodging Association, they mentioned that this would fall under the advertisement and tourism category.
How is this falling under advertising?
That's pretty much the the growing trend. Most cities are using this Placer AI as far as a tool. And as he mentioned, it's under that particular category. Again, it's more under the advertising piece of it.
And what you do with the advertising is you recognize what areas people are coming from to visit Del Rio, so you promote your
To
events
market,
there.
yes. Market tourism.
And this is in conjunction with both the Del Rio and the Hispanic Chamber, right?
And the
Yeah,
county.
and, you know, but, I'm sorry, none of this makes sense to me.
Any other questions, concerns?
Mr. Ojeda was going to say something?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes,
Sorry,
so
Mr.
I sat
Allen.
in
I thought
on
he
a
was gone.
previous, Peter Ojeda, Communications Director for the City of Del Rio, Mayor and Council. I sat in on a previous meeting with the CVB Board, and additionally, outside of just events that are coming on in Del Rio, we
Okay,
get
sorry. You said you sat in on the CVB board.
Yes, sir.
CVB or Chamber of Commerce Board?
A CVB meeting where this presentation was done by Placer AI.
Okay, so is the CVB doing this, or is the chamber doing this?
Both.
Because if the CVB is doing it, we've already given them hot funds, and so we can't double dip by giving the chamber hot funds also if the CVB is the one doing it. And this goes to that intermingling, which makes it very difficult at times to figure out, you know, is it the chamber or the CVB or both, or, you know.
The contract is, the
So-
chamber is the one signing.
I understand that, but you said that the CVB is doing this.
But what I understood
So,
was
so they have separate accounts? Is that what you're saying? Is the chamber just giving the CVB access?
So it works, so to answer your question from before, the data that we're gonna get is not just for the George Paul and stuff like that. So there is also a leakage report that economic development purposes can benefit from. So we get, in this, in our region, we're really gonna only see how we're gonna compare to Eagle Pass, really. So we're gonna see some economic development benefits by seeing which stores people went to from Del Rio to Eagle Pass. So that would help us develop a plan of unmet needs and needs that we're seeing people leave Del Rio and go to Eagle Pass for. So I know that was one of the questions that you had asked, so I wanted to make sure we answered that.
You know,
We do have that same service with Retail Coach.
yeah, and no offense, I don't need Placer AI to be able to figure out what stores people go to in San Antonio, Eagle Pass, San Angelo, wherever they go. It's pretty obvious because people talk about it all the time, right? So,
would that generate dollars back in return?
It's important for us to know where we're seeing people leave Del Rio for, so it would help us for marketing and marketing events, but also for the economic development benefit of knowing where the needs are in Del Rio, and it also gives us a percentage of surplus, so we don't need more. And I think in this situation, it was a car dealerships. I think we're lower on that need, so.
Does that also give you who's coming from Mexico to shop in Del Rio, or?
So we can do a geofence. It doesn't allow us to go international, but I believe we can do a fence that would maybe start at the international bridge and then go from there. So we wouldn't see them coming from, you know, a specific area in Acuna, but we could set up a geofence at the international bridge in that area.
Now, you said a few minutes ago that Retail Coach is already doing that for us, or?
Yes.
Is that a combination of both?
Retail Coach does that for the economic development purposes. And so that's what you're paying partially for through Retail Coach, and the EDC is paying for, and the city can utilize. However, it doesn't necessarily get, we're not able to use it for all the other purposes listed here today.
Any other questions, concerns? I understand, Mr. Councilman DeRuz, but there's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Against? Okay, let's go.
Okay, the motion passes.
Yes.
We are now on ordinances. Item 10A is ordinance 2025-029, an ordinance authorizing the use of hotel occupancy tax revenue pursuant to Tax Code Section 351.001 for the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Services for expenses that promote tourism and the convention and hotel industry.
Do I have a motion to dais?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Councilman DeRusse, do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have a question? Councilman DeRusse?
No, I just have a comment for Ms. Gleason in the back there. Just to let you know, the guys I rode bikes with, when I sent you that picture the other day, say you need to go do more birding because they disagreed with the bird that you told me it was. So work on that. Oh, I will. Have fun.
That's totally out of topic, but we'll go ahead and continue with our meeting.
Playing the birds.
I think it's
close.
there's a first and a second. All in favor? Aye. But he's got the floor, so.
Item 10B is ordinance 2025-030, an ordinance authorizing the use of hotel occupancy tax revenue pursuant to Texas Code Section 351.001 of the 6th Del Rio Comic Con event for expenditures in an amount not to exceed $8,900 of hotel occupancy tax revenue for the Del Rio Comic Con to be held on May 3rd through the 4th, 2025, for advertising and other expenses that promote tourism and convention and hotel industry.
Do I have a motion to dais?
Motion.
Councilman Lopez, do I have a second? Councilwoman Martinez, do we have any questions, concerns from the dais? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Item C is ordinance 2025-028, an ordinance of the City of Del Rio, Texas, authorizing and directing the city manager to accept the funding award from the fiscal year 2024 Operation Storm Garden Grant Number 3158510, program by the Office of the Texas State Governor, Homeland Security Grants Division in the amount of $80,800.
This is the one you like, JP. Do I have a motion to dais?
Motion to direct the city manager.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Free
Councilwoman
money.
Martinez. Any questions, concern? All in favor? Aye.
Item D is ordinance 2025-031, an ordinance amending Chapter 8, Article 1, Section 8-3 of the City of Del Rio Code of Ordinances related to development services fees, and you all should have an updated ordinance.
Yeah, it's. Before I ask for a motion, Janice is on podium. If you want to ask her any questions, concerns?
Janice, just to be clear, the only change is the preliminary and final plat application that you're recommending leave as is for now while you do more research. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That's the only change?
That is correct,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Is that it? Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve as
Councilman
recommended by
DeRusse,
staff.
do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Lopez. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, ma'am.
Aye.
Yeah, thank you. All right. We are on item E, Resolution 2025-032, an ordinance of the City of Del Rio amending the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget, establishing a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Do I have a motion to dais? Do I have a motion? Do you want discussion?
You like it?
Who's doing the presentation on this one? Roxy?
Good evening, Council and Mayor. Roxy Soto, Assistant Finance Director. Today, we have presented the third budget amendment for fiscal year 2024-2025. On page 270, we have the transmittal letter that was submitted that shows the changes and adjustments made to the budget. For the general fund, we have 4 line items that we would be making adjustments to. Line item A would be to add $764,600 to the Lone Star grant for the police department, which has awarded by the Office of the Governor. Line item B would be to add $189,600 to the border zone fire grant. line item C is to add $345,100 for the CDBG grant for the sidewalks. And then line item D would be to increase the transfers in by $70,600 to fund the general fund budget amendment. These 4 items would be to add revenues to the general fund. The next section would be the general fund expenditures. We have in the city manager budget, decrease the city manager discretionary contingency by $1,900 to transfer to facility maintenance for repairs and floor upgrades made in the city attorney's office. Then we have the city secretary budget to increase contractual services by $27,200 for the Valverde County elections to include costs for presidential elections. Then to the development services budget, we have line item G, which is to decrease personnel by $46,900 to transfer to contractual services for AOCA planning and permitting review services. This amount is savings from the chief building official vacancy. In the finance budget, we have line item H, which would be to increase contractual services by $6,000 for the finance portion of a change order provided by ABIP, the city's independent auditors. This is for additional time to complete the 2024 audit. And then the total cost of the change order is $15,300, but that amount is allocated to several divisions. Then we have changes to the San Felipe Springs Golf Course budget to increase supplies by $20,000 to replace the greens in holes 4 and 7, which was previously mentioned by Scott. Then changes to the police budget, which is line item J, to increase supplies by $17,500 for uniforms. This amount was budgeted last year, and they did have a purchase order for it. However, there was a delay in receiving the uniforms, and so when we did receive the uniforms, they came in this fiscal year, so we had to use this year's budget. So the department is requesting that we replenish those funds so that they can continue ordering more uniforms for this fiscal year. In the Lone Star Grant Program, this is to offset the revenue from the grant, which is to increase personnel by $182,700 for overtime for officers, dispatchers, and administrative staff. Increase supplies by $58,700 for various specialty supplies, including surveillance equipment. Increase contractual by $30,300 for travel and training costs. Increase capital by $492,900 for laptop system, accessories for law enforcement vehicles, 4 license plate readers, emergency response lightings, and 4 patrol vehicles. The Police Training Academy increased supplies by $1,800 for special purpose supplies. In the fire budget, line item M would be to decrease supplies by $6,300 and decrease contractual by $12,900 to increase capital expenses for the additional costs needed to purchase the 2025 Ford Expedition. And then also increase capital by $189,600 for the pickup truck and all-terrain vehicle, which are funded by the Border Zone Fire Grant. And then our transfers out would be to increase the transfer out to capital improvements by $345,100 for the revenue received by the CDBG Downtown Revitalization Project for the sidewalks. So in all, the proposed expenses for the general fund is a total increase of $1,369,900. The net change in the general fund balance totals 0. A majority of those expenditures are from offset by grants. And then we have our special revenue funds for transportation. It would be to increase special grants by $93,700, which has been approved already through ordinance 2025-2025-0115, an award from the 5311 Federal Grant Reallocation Amendment by the Texas Department of Transportation, and that would be offset by increasing supplies by $2,800 for tires and tubes, increase contractual services by $32,900 for various repairs and maintenance costs required for transportation buses. We also have an adjustment to Women, Infant, and Children Program to increase special grants by $17,700, and that would be offset by increasing supplies by $8,700 for lactation and extra funding, and increase contractual and other costs by $9,200 for the registered dietitian contract. Changes to the nutrition budget would be to increase contractual services by $100 for the auditor change order allocation. Then we have changes to the American Rescue Plan Act grant would be to increase capital by $247,400 for the purchase of the patrol vehicles. And this was also approved by the City Council previously to reallocate the funds. Then we have the Economic Development and Main Street Program. Line item E would be to increase donations by $4,000 for the funds received for the Main Street Program for the Halloween and BMX event. These are donations we have already received. It would be just to reflect it on the budget. Reduce personnel by $14,200 due to the Economic Development Director vacancy, and transfer the funds to contractual services for the professional services agreement with SGR for an executive recruiter, and increase supplies by $900 and contractual services by $3,100 items needed for the Halloween and BMX events, such as banners, posters, porta potty shirts, promotional material, and entertainment. And then we also have an adjustment to the Economic Development Corporation, which would be to increase contractual and other costs by $37,000 for professional services agreement between the Del Rio Economic Development Corporation and the Retail Coach. We have the capital improvements funds, revenues, increased transfer in by $345,100 for the CDBG Downtown Revitalization Grant. Then in our enterprise funds, we have changes to the gas budget, increased contractual and other costs by $1,100 for the auditor's change order allocation. In the water fund, we have increased contractual and other costs by $1,900 for the auditor's change order reallocation. In the international bridge, we have increased personnel by $14,700 for 2 temporary part-time toll collectors to assist with heavy flow at the bridge. And then we also have to increase contractual and other costs by $2,000 for the auditor's change order allocation. The international airport increased contractual and other costs by $1,600 for the auditor's change order allocation, and refuse increased contractual and other costs by $1,600 for the auditor's change order allocation. Lastly, we have the internal service funds to facility maintenance. Increased supplies by $1,900 for upgrades at the city attorney's office, which was offset by the transfer from the city manager contingency, and increased contractual and other costs by $13,700 for the annual payment to Brightly Software Asset Essentials. Those are all the adjustments made to the funds and respective departments and divisions.
After all the reading, do I have a motion on the dais to approve?
Motion.
Second. Councilman Lopez. Any questions or concerns for Roxy or Ms. Burkhardt? You have a question, sir? Go ahead.
Yes. All these are going to be budgeted in for this year, or we already have money budgeted for that?
This budget amendment is to add to the budget, whether it be revenues or expenditures, we will be adding to the budget.
And we'll be able to go ahead and do that with the budget?
Yes, this will allow us to add to the budget.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions, concerns? Not, all in favor? Aye.
We are now on item 11, consent agenda. This is the procedure to help facilitate the meeting with the consent agenda. One motion will approve all action items noted as consent. These are routine matters which are repeated on the agenda. Approval means they will be implemented as recommended by the administration. Prior to acting on the consent agenda, any council member may have a consent item withdrawn from this portion of the agenda so that it may be discussed prior to action. Item 11A is approval of the meeting minutes for April 8th, regular meeting, and the April 9th special meeting. And item B is the approval of the monthly unaudited financial statement for March 2025.
Before I ask for a motion, does anybody want to pull any item here? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes and approval of monthly.
A motion to approve.
Councilman Lopez, do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Quinones. Any questions, concerns? Everybody got to review them? Not all in favor?
Aye.
The next item is 12, executive session. The city council will reconvene into regular session upon conclusion of the executive session and may recall any item posted as executive session for action as necessary. We have item 12A, which was pulled for discussion.
When will that be put back on the agenda?
When we have full council.
So we don't know when we're going to have full council, so I guess that needs to be on every agenda
No, I think
until it gets done? Because based on that, we're not going to do it until June.
possible.
No, definitely.
Who's not- Oh, yeah. We got Carmen out, and then we got
Yeah.
Lopez.
So,
Okay. All right, so it's been pulled, so you got two other items that we're
Item-
going to go into?
Item B will be executive session on matters covered by section 551.071, parentheses 1, parentheses A of chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, consultation with the city attorney regarding contemplated litigation, Pamo Group LLC, DBA The Good Bar. And item C is executive session on matters covered by section 551.072 of chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, deliberation regarding the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if deliberation in open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the position of the governmental body in negotiations with a third person, which include multipurpose facility and sports fields.
It's 8:46, and this council could go into executive session. Yeah. Which one's that? It's 9:10, this council had reconvened from an executive session, and there's no action. It is 9:10, and this meeting is adjourned.